The story begins with Tony Stark, the wealthy, genius, and handsome man who owns a private weapons manufacturing company. We see him with his friend James, and they are in Afghanistan because he's supposed to be there to showcase the missiles called Jericho, and while he's there, he gets kidnapped by a terrorist group. During that time, he is seriously injured, leaving bomb fragments in his heart. And we go back in a flashback to see Tony Stark's past, which is full of partying and women. Yes, women. And we get introduced to the man who was his father's friend. And we learn about his father, Howard Stark, and we also meet Pepper Potts. Tony and his secretary like each other. Tony and James travel to Afghanistan on a mission to retrieve missiles. The story then returns to Tony's kidnapping and injury. After his severe injury, a fellow prisoner saved his life. A cloud of shrapnel separates them. Did anyone get hit? Tony wakes up in shock, talks with his fellow prisoner. Then the terrorist leader enters and starts speaking in a Port Said accent, right? No, this is really happening. Welcome, Mr. Tony. Stan adopts a Port Said accent and leads Tony outside. He asks Tony to keep making Jericho missiles. When Tony refuses, he tortures and imprisons him. Tony then pretends he'll build weapons, but in reality he's working on another project, which we'll see in a moment. He manages to develop the magnet on his chest, and it has enough power to keep the shrapnel from reaching his heart. Tony keeps working and he's building a weapon to help them escape from the cave they're trapped in. He starts making the weapon, and we see that it's actually a shield, and at the same time, it's a weapon in the form of a suit. Tony and Saleh al-Nabi defeat everyone, but Tony's cellmate sacrifices himself to distract the guards. Tony escapes and burns all their weapons. We see that the suit Tony built can fly, so he leaves the camp. He returns to America again, and when Tony arrives, he enters a conference held to welcome him. He decides that he will not make weapons anymore, because they end up in the hands of people like terrorist groups, and they use them to kill innocent people. Well done, Tony. You're the pride of the Arabs. Then his partner suddenly intervenes and tries to stop the matter, and then Tony asks Pepper to come to the lab. Don't worry about what's coming next. Anyway, she comes to him, and he asks her to replace the device in his chest with another one he made, which was more advanced, and Tony starts working on developing his suit, the one he made in the cave, turning it from something primitive into a real weapon. We see him working in the lab, talking to Jarvis, and Jarvis is the artificial intelligence in his house. He begins working, creating several suit prototypes, and repeatedly testing and failing. He eventually gets it right and flies, but notices the suit freezes if he goes too high. Remember in middle school geography when they said, for every 150 meters you go up, the temperature drops 1 degree Celsius? In the end, he saves himself and continues flying around the city. When he returns, he finds Pepper. She turned the first device he built in the cave into a keepsake for him, adding an inscription. This is proof that Tony Stark has a heart. He starts working on the model he was just flying with and paints it red and yellow. It was as if he could pass through anything. And we see Tony, Pepper, and the company members, including his partner who went by bus. Tony's partner tries to find out how he made that advanced device, but Tony still refuses to tell him. He's talking about Tony's chest, not Tony himself. The device that's in Tony's chest, you know? Anyway, later at home, he watches television. Terrorist acts in Afghanistan. He tests the suit on them. Tony runs experiments, goes there, takes them down easily, then returns. But 2 American jets then chase him. He got there easily, but coming back? No, it's not as simple to leave as to enter. No, it's the opposite. Is entering the bathroom as easy as leaving? And his friend who works with him in the American government is also on the phone with him, telling him that the thing flying is actually a suit and he's inside it. He's revealing his identity, James, his friend. Then you see Pepper, and the suit is all messed up and has marks from being hit. She gets worried about him, and then we see what happens next. In Afghanistan, Tony's partner meets the terrorist leader, revealing that the partner ordered the attack on Tony. And when his partner went to the leader of the group, he told him, "Look, Oster, I'll give you the design that Tony made in the cave in exchange for Tony's partner giving him soldiers and armor like the design he made." Oster's man acts tough, tries to intimidate him, then lifts and kills him with the device. Then we return to America. Tony asks Pepper to get all the weapons files from his office onto a flash drive so he can destroy them. While doing this, Pepper finds a video of Tony's kidnapping on his partner's computer, realizes the partner is against Tony, and he catches her. But she transfers the data without him noticing and leaves, though he later discovers some files were transferred. He restarts and goes to one of the scientists in the lab, asking him to make a reactor like the one on Tony's chest, because that's what powers the suit Tony wears. The scientist admits he can't do it, so he says, Tony Stark built this reactor in a cave with primitive tools. The scientist responds, "Sorry, I'm not Tony Stark." Tony's partner visits him in the morning, greets him, then paralyzes him with a device. He removes the reactor from Tony's chest, which means Tony will die from the bomb shrapnel. Tony quickly saves himself by using the old device Yinsen made in the cave, putting it on his chest, and survives. And now Tony's partner's suit is working, so Tony goes to stop him. Tony's advanced suit lets him survive while his partner dies. That's it. Then at a conference, Tony confesses, "I am Iron Man." This big guy's watching the first part's ending on television when Tony says, "I am Iron Man. I'll fix it, God willing." He calls his son Ivan, saying, "Take this, my son. Come here." When Ivan approaches, he says, "Ivan, my son, you should be where Tony is." He's dying. He says a few words, then he's gone. Ivan comes in and removes the device from Tony's chest. The thing inside Tony. The reactor actually belongs to Howard Stark and Ivan's father, who designed it together, not Tony. Ivan builds his own reactor. Then, 6 months later, we return to Tony. When he was at his expo, he kept talking about peace and how much he loves peace and all that. But just in the last part, you were making weapons for people. Then, when he uses a device to measure the toxins in his blood, he finds out they've reached 19%, and then he goes to court to have a discussion with the government. The government tells him they see the suit as a weapon and asks him to hand it over. But he insists it's just a suit made from weapons. He refuses, then Hammer arrives to press charges. Tony's friend Rhodey from the previous part also appears, just played by a different actor, and Hammer presses charges against him. Machines like Iron Man are being made, but Tony has a monopoly, though it's unclear what kind. He shows on screen that others, not him, are making these machines. He said Hammer is copying him in Iran. Tony tells him America is at peace, and if you want the suit, it's in the city. After that, he leaves, and we see that Ivan is watching the interview, and we see him making something too, like a core or something. Then we go to Tony at his house. When he checks his blood, the toxin level is at 24% due to the reactor in his chest. The more he uses the suit, the more it slowly kills him. And then Pepper Potts comes in and tells him that his company's stocks are going down. She keeps arguing with him until Tony finally says, "Hey, can you leave now?" The chief executive officer leaves, so she stands there shocked until she believes it. Do they drink apple juice? It's a sheer apple, not a sheer apple, a sheer apple, right? Afterward, Tony trains in the fighting ring with his assistant Happy when a red-tipped surface-to-air missile comes at him. What? For Chica, who is Natalie, and he asks her to get into the ring, and she gives me a look. My heart nearly stopped at that look. Oh, Natalie. Then he leaves the ring for Happy to train her, and as Happy starts, just saying, "In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful," she knocks him down. Tony then says, "Hey, why don't you come over here? Want to see the hedgehog that glows in the dark?" When she leaves, Tony tells Pepper he'll hire her, then steals cars and meets Natalie, who replaced Pepper. She becomes his assistant and informs him of a 9 o'clock appointment. He asks to move it to 11 later. Tony meets Hammer, who wants to present an invention at Tony's expo. Tony agrees if it's good. He checks his blood toxin level and sees it's at 53% honey. That's nearly like acing a high school exam. After that, he goes to a race, and we see that Ivan is with the people who fix the cars. We see him enter the race and pull out his whip, and we see his chest looks like Tony's. The reactor in his chest is just like Tony's. Also, a car is passing by. Happy comes and splits the car in half. Oh God, what am I, Lambie? And Pepper goes with Happy with the Iron Man suit in a Samsonite suitcase like that, but Ivan splits Tony's car in half. But thank God Tony survived. But before Ivan kills him, Pepper and Happy save him and tell him to get in. And as soon as he gets in, Ivan splits the door in half. Is he just here to split everything in half? He came in with the idea of splitting everything in two, so everything's in half, okay? So Tony, Happy said, well, step on it again. And he came and split the car in half, and Pepper was just normal. Balance, balance. And then Tony took the suit and literally spent half an hour putting it on. And even then, nothing was happening to him. Like, take your time, let me know when you're done, you know? I mean, seriously, you took half an hour just to put on the suit. I'm in the sun, and Tony says, come on, I'm ready, come here. What? You fixed the suit and shocked him? All right, bye. But after that, Tony manages to get close to him, hits him, and defeats him with a kick. Then the police come and arrest him, and Tony goes to see him in jail and gives him some advice about the whip. You might ask why and how to improve it. Honestly, I don't know. Ask Tony. Ivan tells Tony if you can make a god bleed, people lose faith in him, and the blood will be in the water, and the sharks will come to drink the blood. I didn't understand anything. Did you get any of that? The important thing is, what he meant is that he did all this to make Tony less intimidating, so that any criminal after that wouldn't be afraid of him and could take him down easily. Then Tony leaves, and when Ivan gets his food, there's C4 in it. That's C4, you know, the explosives. And then someone who looks like Ivan shows up. Wait, is that someone who looks like Ivan? Does he come with the food too, or what? Anyway, the important thing is that he manages to escape from the police and finds himself at the airport, and there's a Hummer in front of him. They start arguing with each other. Ivan is going to destroy Tony Stark, and Hammer will give him all the resources he needs. And what Ivan expected actually happens. The media turns against Tony, and Rhodey visits as Tony's condition worsens. Meanwhile, Hammer and Ivan reveal Hammer's many robots, resembling Tony. They all need upgrades and help. Ivan can hack them easily, so Hammer asks Ivan for assistance. He wants him to upgrade the suit, so Tony looks outdated, and it's clear he plans to present the suit at Tony's expo. Then we return to Tony. You can see the poisoning. His blood level is at 89%. If you got these grades in your final year, that would be amazing. Then at his last birthday party, he uses the suit's disc jockey, making you wonder, why use the suit for this? Are you crazy? What are you doing? He starts dancing and drinking, you know? Then what? Who even understands what's happening? And then he just keeps getting drunk, you know, drinking, playing, and dancing. Alcohol and women are the peak of depravity. Bieber tries to calm him, saying, "That's enough, Dad, calm down." But he replies, "I couldn't see anything, I wasn't aware. We've waited so long for this." And Rudy grabs the Iron Man suit from the last part. So now there's Iron Man Tony and Iron Man Rudy, and they keep fighting each other. Take a punch. No, you take a punch. Take one like that until when the house explodes, Rudy takes the suit and gives it to the army, while Tony eats a donut in the suit. You're using it. The worst use ever. Then a one-eyed man asks him to come down, and he leaves. The donut, secretly a spy with Nick Fury, and Tony says, "You really fooled me," as Natasha injects him. And we see that the poison in his blood is gone. We understand that she just gave him something like a painkiller, but that's not a cure. Then we go to Ivan, and we see that he's making a remote-controlled suit, meaning no one has to be inside it. No, my dear, it's a suit without what? And we go back to Tony and Nick Fury, and we understand that Ivan's father used to work with Tony's father, Howard Stark. And because Ivan's father wanted to sell the reactors that Howard made, Tony's father had to fire him. Did Nick Fury used to work with Howard, or was it the other way around? God knows, and Nick gives Tony a box. But before he opens it, we go to Rhodey and see that he brought Hammer to upgrade the suit with weapons. Then we go back to Tony, and Tony opens the box and finds blueprints for the reactor, the same energy reactor that Ivan had at the beginning of the movie. And he finds a video of his father Howard talking about the reactor and the reactor theories. And did Alibaba's cave help you? He went to his office and apologized to Pepper for the birthday party incident, but she refused. He gathered his things and left. Then Tony returned home. He manages to create a new alternative chemical element. For palladium, that palladium is what's in his energy reactor that's been poisoning him. And he manages to make the new element, and it's stronger. Tony gets a call from Ivan, who thanks him for the prison advice about his weapon, which is now stronger. Tony is shocked Ivan is out of prison, and Ivan threatens him before hanging up. Tony has to put on the new reactor, and we go with Hammer as he shows off his robots and Rhodey's suit, and we see Tony, who brought the suit with the new reactor. Rhodey in the suit says he trusts him and that Hammer is working with Ivan. When Tony asks Hammer about Ivan, he acts clueless. Who showed up? No, sir, I know nothing about this. Ivan? Who's Ivan? That guy? Hammer? Who's that? Who? Sir, I don't know him. We'll see. Ivan hacked Rudy's suit and all his creations, causing them to attack people. Chaos erupts as everyone fights. Natasha then takes down several workers with a slick move, showing her toughness, and finishes things off. Ivan lost control over Rudy and the other suits. Is Rudy acting alone, or is there a link? Then the drones attack Tony, but he easily destroys them. Honestly, I can't tell. Then the big boss, Ivan, shows up in an Iron Man suit and his whip. He never gives up his whip. He grabbed Tony and Rudy and beat them up, but they use the same move from the house, take each other out, and things return to normal. And we see that Nick Fury asks Tony to be his consultant at Strategic Homeland Intervention, Enforcement and Logistics Division, and that Strategic Homeland Intervention, Enforcement and Logistics Division is Nick Fury's organization, and Tony agrees. But he asks the judge who used to hate Tony to honor him, and that's exactly what happens. And then we see Tony Stark, but in a flashback to 1999 at a party, and he meets a female scientist, you know? No, she's a scientist? What kind? Her name is Maya. And she goes to him and says, I want to show you my research. So he flirts with her. Good morning. He never lets anyone who comes his way go. And he tells her, let's go up to the room. I'll show you something of mine now. We can discuss your research later. Then Aldrich, a young man, approaches and says he wants to show his research too. He asks, are you a girl? He says no. The other replies, sorry, girls only, and mocks him. He tells him to wait on the rooftop but never shows up, leaving him in the cold. So that's the rooftop. Are Hamada's girls pretty? We learn the Maya project aims to replant severed limbs, but when tested on a plant, it explodes due to the process's danger. But that's in the past, sir. Tony's changed. He's a good guy now, not like before. And we see the events after the Avengers movie, and we see that Tony is having panic attacks because of what he saw and the trauma. Oh, I forgot to mention, watch the previous summaries if you haven't already. One should be enough, but I'll include them in the full video. And we see Tony having panic attacks because of what he saw and the trauma he experienced in the last movie when he suddenly went into space. So he isolates himself in the lab and makes a lot of models for his suit. And we also see that there's a terrorist group carrying out bombings in America and around the world. And the person responsible for this group is this man, whose name is Mandarin. We see that the president of America is being threatened by this group. And also Rodis, Tony's friend, has his own suit that he uses to work with the government, and we see that. A surprise from Aldrich Bieber. Oh, Bieber from Orha. How often has he visited the company? That's Tony, who's been stealing from the rooftop for 13 years, and he went to show off with Maya. Not from Aldrich, he went to show off with Maya. Tony, he went to show off with Maya, and left Aldrich. He's showing off with her on the rooftop. And we see Aldrich showing Bieber the technology he has, and offering it to her so she can work with Tony. Then we see Tony creating technology. For the suit, it lets him control it as if he's wearing it, but from a distance. You know, like remote control. He connected the whole suit with his mind. And Tony is having more anxiety attacks, and he's having nightmares about what happened during the Avengers events. The next day, Happy, Tony's assistant, watches Aldrich's assistant out of suspicion. Suddenly, the man explodes, injuring Happy and nearly killing him. And she says, thank God. I mean, he turns out, okay, he's not completely fine, but he turns out all right. And we understand that this was planned by the terrorist organization. Tony gets really angry about this, and while some reporters stop him as he's leaving the hospital, he sends a message to the Mandarin telling him he's not afraid of him and that he's going to turn him into fried bits. Then Tony goes and starts investigating the Mandarin. No one knows what happened to him. Then Maya unexpectedly visits. Remember her? She's the one Tony just spoke to on the rooftop, but left things unresolved. She approaches him wanting to discuss something personal, but he says, sorry, I'm in a relationship now and I respect that. He actually said that. Classic Tony. What do you think? While he's talking, planes suddenly bomb and destroy Tony's house. He calls for his suit and protects Pepper by having her wear it. As the house is destroyed, Pepper puts on the suit, takes Maya, and escapes. Tony stays inside and you can't tell what he's doing. He's on the ground crying, then calls for the suit and puts it on when he sees she's safe. But there's not enough power, so it shuts down. Maya thinks he's dead and repeats it, but he flies far away to a distant place. The suit is completely out of power. He drags the suit to the nearest house, grabs something warm from the road, and continues until he finds a house. He assumes it's abandoned and stays. A kid who lives there arrives and they become friends. He uses another helmet to tell Pepper he's alive. As Pepper walks with Maya, Maya asks, what brought you here today? She tells her that her boss, Aldrich, works for Mandarin. When asked, she confirms his name is Aldrich. Now we know Aldrich works for Mandarin. And we go back to Tony. We see what's happening when strange people arrive, start glowing, and produce fire. Tony escapes, gets in a car, and drives off. And we see there's a breach on all the televisions in America, and Mandarin appears on television threatening the president. We see that he has kidnapped someone from the government and is reciting something on television in front of everyone. And the president is scared. After the threat, he tells Rhodey to bring him the monster, while Rhodey is in Pakistan arresting terrorists. But one of them there is one of those people who can breathe fire, and she steals the War Machine suit that Rhodey was wearing while Tony is investigating. He learns that Aldrich and Maya are working on a limb regeneration project, but the regrown limbs are made of fire, risking explosion. Maya and Pepper hide in a house, which Aldrich blows up before dramatically entering, kidnapping Pepper, and leaving. The Banana Yuli. Tony leaves his suit with the kid's father to charge, locates the Mandarin's headquarters, makes weapons from supermarket items, and sneaks past the guards. He finds the Mandarin, and we see that he's just an actor with a very weak personality. He just says whatever he's told, but he insists that he's not the Mandarin, he's just an actor. That's it. That's what I mean. A guard, Aldrich's assistant, enters and kidnaps Tony. Maya is present and knows what's happening. Aldrich demands Tony's suit. Maya threatens to kill herself unless Tony is freed, so Aldrich kills her to end her suffering. Rhodey is trapped in the suit while kidnapped, and it's broken. He refuses to leave so they can't take and use it. Suddenly, the suit opens on its own, so Rhodey gets out and tries to fight them, but then he sees Aldrich, who breathes fire from his mouth. Aldrich also kidnaps Rhodey, and Tony is left waiting for his suit to arrive after it's recharged, because he made a technology with global positioning system or something like that, so the suit finds him no matter where he is. The suit is delayed in transit due to turbulence, so only a glove reaches him at first. He uses it until the rest arrives, but the suit still isn't ready for action and has no power. He goes to Rudy and takes him back to the actor who's playing the Mandarin, and the guards beat them up. They discover Aldrich plans to use Rudy's suit to kidnap the president, and his assistant is already on the president's plane in Rudy's suit. All the guards kidnap the president, but Tony Stark arrives and fights them. Despite this, the president is still taken. Meanwhile, Aldrich experiments on Pepper, having kidnapped her. If Tony catches you, he'll take you down. Tony and Rudy go to their base, and a fight starts. And Tony doesn't have his suit because it's out of power, so he calls in all the suits and the prototypes he was working on. It's like he has an army. Tony asks for a suit because they're killing anyone with a high temperature, since everyone there has lost limbs, so their temperature is high. It's due to the fire they breathe, and he takes a suit from them. He reaches Pepper, but Aldrich shows up and attacks Tony. A fight breaks out, ending with Rhodey saving the president and Pepper. After she gains powers, she kills Mandarin's experiment and gives Tony a hand. He orders Jarvis, his electronic assistant, to self-destruct all the suits while he's having surgery. All the bomb shrapnel is removed from his heart, so he no longer needs the reactor to keep it from killing him. He throws it away. As he walks away, he says, "You can take his house and weapons, but never his honor. Iron Man, that's all. Peace be upon you. What's happening?"